Oh, hey there. Not hot at all. So, today we framed up all the roof, decked the roof, built all the gables, sided everything, put in the windows and the door, trimmed that stuff up, caulked it, put the roof on. We lack one piece of trim on the side of the door and one across the top of the door. We dug the trench, and then we're gonna put in wiring. We're gonna have our electrician put in wiring on Monday, and it's gonna be amazing. Now, I was reminded earlier today that I was on a game show this last winter called Preston Styles, and it was a bunch of strangers. I'm filming, Alan. So you're ridiculous. So it was a bunch of strangers in a shrinking room for 24 hours, and then whoever stayed the full 24 hours, they would get $10,000, or however many people were in at the end of it would split $10,000. I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And so they asked me, and I was in it, and then they had to reschedule because there was the snow during the wintertime. And finally came down to the day, and I was like, yeah, I want to do this thing. I've scheduled my day or whatever. And I woke up that morning, I was like, I feel like I might, maybe, possibly one day soon get sick. I'm just gonna, deal with it. I'll stay away from people or whatever. We get there, and they're doing COVID tests everywhere, and I was like this. COVID is basically the common cold, so I don't want to do that. But, they're passing around COVID tests. But nobody's really paying attention, because by this point, nobody really cares about COVID anymore. So I took the Q-tip, and I turned around and just went like, went like this. I went, and then handed it back to him and put him in the thing. It showed up negative, and I was like, okay, cool. So I got in there. We do this thing. I was in there for about 6 hours, and you couldn't eat, you couldn't go to the bathroom, and you couldn't touch any of the walls or anything that had touched a wall. And then the walls would shrink from time to time, and they'd kind of harass you and things like that. It was fun. They come in and they put this big piece of orange tape across the center of the room, and everybody's like, we don't know if we can cross the line or not cross the line. It's kind of a social experiment or whatever. Then they come inside and they're like, all right, look, anybody who believes in faith, and you want to let faith decide your destiny, stay on this side of the room, which I was already on that side of the room anyway. And anybody who doesn't believe in faith, you'd be on this other side of the room. And I'm like, I believe in faith. So I stayed on my side. But then I realized they didn't say faith. They said fate. Completely different. I was like, oh, is it too late to change sides? It was. So then they pull out a magic 8-ball, and there's a 3 in 4 chance I was going to go home. I'm like, please, I don't want to go home. And of course I shook it. It was like, you're going home. I was like, darn it. So I left, and when I was leaving, I was like, I let faith decide. But let me tell you, I could barely keep my eyes open on the way home. And by the time I got home, I was like, I don't feel so good. So it was really a good thing that I got kicked out of there. And I think I laid in bed for like 48 hours or something like that. Like, I did not feel good. The other people that stayed on the show, nobody won. They stayed there till like 8 o'clock the next morning or something like that. And I was like, oof, that's rough. And then got kicked out by a game of rock, paper, scissors. I'm like, I'm glad I didn't wait 20 hours to lose to rock, paper, scissors. That's not a game of skill, it's a game of chance. Anyway, that's how TV works. Love you guys. See you on Monday.